Hello out there in the internets. I am Chris Dyer, the owner and head instructor at Reborn Martial Arts, and today I'm going to talk to you about the 8 energies, the Bafa. Okay, next part of the Bafa, as we've been working through in the series, is Lai, or splitting action, one of my personal favorites. Okay, so as I've covered in our previous videos on the Bafa, they kind of interplay off of each other, and they're the key concept that one of the things I want to get across on these videos is that the structure, the posture, and the form teaches us the concept of the Bafa, or the way of movement, the direction of movement. But it's not always, the application isn't always bound to that posture. So this one has a plethora of different postures that you can take, or techniques that you can do on an opponent, but we'll look strictly at the one that we use from the form. So we go from our plucking down that we covered in our previous video to splitting. So we're actually going to take our left hand in this case, we grab on, we pull it in. So we'll look at this in just a second. And then we're going to do this sort of crossbody hammer in this position. One of the other key points is what the feet are doing. I'm going to shift my hips, or as I'm rotating my hips, my left foot will kind of pull in a little bit. So if I face the camera, I block, and I'm going to do this action like so. And we'll look at the application and how this is used, along with the sort of the theories of splitting in just a second. Okay, so splitting. We'll look at this. Let's do a right punch in this case. So one of the most important things, and you'll see this in a large variety of martial arts, is this idea of chambering the hand, or hikate in karate. The idea of that I'm grabbing and I'm pulling back. And a lot of people, they have some experience doing martial arts. They've probably done some sort of drill where they're throwing punches and they're doing this sort of thing where they're pulling their hand back and they're pulling their hand back. And then that progresses in their training to throwing punches like this, and then sparring like this where you're pulling your hand back. The only reason that you would pull your hand back and not have it on guard when throwing a strike is that you're actually holding on to a person and you're pulling them close to your body to off-balance them, to, in essence, split them, to split their body. So splitting is actually the idea of off-balancing my opponent. So if their legs are in one position, I want to off-balance them by setting their head back. One of the most, let's actually switch to the other hand. One of the common ways to do this, if I can get a hold of the person's hand, is by grabbing on around the wrist and not just pulling back, but this active rotation of position. And notice what it's doing to his structure. By rotating around the wrist, I'm forcing his body to off-balance itself. That's right away from the get-go splitting his body. Again, if you notice, his legs are upright, but his body is starting to tilt as we do this. We'll actually just do the technique on the other side. So we're here. As I'm doing this technique, not only am I off-balancing him by pulling this arm towards me where I have a lot of control. So if I'm out here with it, he moves his arm around. Move this arm around. I don't have much control over it, right? So as it's coming to attack me, I'm taking advantage of that and I'm pulling it close to my body, and now I'm locking it to my hip. I have a point of contact through here. And at the same time, so as I'm doing that, I'm throwing this one across the face, towards the jaw. And as he's thinking about punching with this hand, I'm redirecting this structure and I'm off-balancing him through here. And then again, the footwork, as I'm doing this, I can trap this foot, I can lock this foot so he doesn't have a place to step. I'm controlling that leg, so his escape, by stepping out of it, I'm locking that off too. So that's all part of that structure breaking in the splitting action.